the American military to stop the flow of drugs into our country and to ensure that we, as opposed to our adversaries, control one of the great energy reserves that exist anywhere in the entire world. And he did it without losing a single American life in the process. It was an amazing operation. It's going to make our country richer. It's going to make our country more powerful. It's going to make our country safer. And it's going to lead to the decline, the further decline of drug overdose deaths in the United States of America. An amazing thing, and I'm happy to be here to talk about how we can make it an even bigger and better operation for the American people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think this is a reminder that everything this president does, everything President Trump does is with the American people in mind. It was not in the national interest or national security of the United States and of our people to have in our own hemisphere a country, not just with vast energy reserves, but controlled by an indicted narco-trafficker who flooded our country with illegal immigration.
I don't want people thinking I'm like,
openly cooperated with drug gangs.
I don't know. I don't get into politics. I just like listening and shit. I just hope people don't be like, oh, he supported it. I don't support nothing. I don't support no parties. I don't support no parties. But I'm like, let me see. What they doing now?
In March to turn around. Federal courts have also found your department.
Your department what?
To have violated federal injunctions in your continue to send non-citizens on deportation flights, with some courts having called your orders unlawful. Secretary Noem, I just have 3 questions for you. 1, why did you lie under oath by saying DHS was following all federal court orders when they clearly were not? Question 2, let me finish my questions. Question 2, why did you mislead the American people when you said that no American citizens have been arrested or detained by federal immigration agents? And my last question, number 3, Donald Trump said that your ICE agents haven't gone far enough. Do you think terrorizing American citizens and assaulting peaceful protesters isn't far enough?
Congressman, the Department of Homeland Security and this administration complies with all federal court orders. We always have, and we always will.
Not true.
And we will continue to appeal. And sir, I will even tell you that at the highest court, at the Supreme Court, the Department of Homeland Security in our litigation has an over 90% success rate in winning at the highest court in our battle against activist judges across this country.
Madam Secretary,
judges that we will continue to appeal. And then when it gets to the highest court and we get a decision, it is proven that we are right, that we have been compliant.
I would have reclaimed my time.
Madam Secretary, let me...
You want me to answer your questions or not?
I do, but let me... you haven't been telling us the truth. Look, there have been at least 170 known cases of citizens being arrested or detained by federal immigration agents this year alone. This is the truth. Are you lying to the American people right now by denying these reports?
When we are doing our targeted enforcement operations against criminal illegal aliens, individuals that are in that area may be detained.
They on their ass. Oh my God, they on their ass.
This has been done for years in every single law enforcement operation that has always happened. We follow the same protocols, and we continue to do that. We have never once detained or deported an American citizen. We have not held them and charged them. When we find out and verify their identity, then that is when they are released. You also asked about ICE agents going far enough. Sir, I will tell you that every single ICE agent, CBP agent, federal law enforcement officer that's out there doing their work every day, none of them will rest until our communities are safe. None of them will rest until...
Secretary, no, it is a fact.
Bro, this nigga runs terrible routes.
Let me reclaim my time here, please. Let me reclaim. Secretary, no, it is a fact that you ignored federal court orders in March and in May of this year. Do you plan on ignoring more federal orders?
We always...
I'm sick of your lies. And the American people demand the truth.
Because you keep saying it doesn't make it true.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies.
Damn.
American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security. If you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
The fuck was
I
that?
yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back his time. I'll remind members that they are entitled to ask questions during their time. Witnesses are entitled to answer those questions. Members are entitled to reclaim their time. So we're gonna have questions and answers. Please allow it. You can reclaim your time if you want, but witnesses are here voluntarily. Please at least give them a chance to answer the questions that you're asking. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Pfluger, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's unfortunate that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle for 5 straight years now have no concern for anything worldwide threats-wise, and have proven that. We're supposed to be talking about worldwide threats, but unfortunately, we're talking about homeland threats in our homeland. And Director, can you just reaffirm the number for us of people that match the terror watch list that are in our country?
There's 18,000 known and suspected terrorists in the country right now that came in under Joe Biden's watch.
18,000.
18,000.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And that's just what we know of, Congressman.
Secretary, despite even members on this committee that have called our law enforcement and ICE and DHS and Border Patrol and other agents names and slandered them, I support you and I support what you're doing to secure the homeland.
I'm on the wrong
The Working
fucking.
Families Tax Act allocated
I'm on the wrong
$13.5 billion
shit.
to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice to reimburse states for the cost of the Biden-Harris administration's open border policies. No state suffered more than Texas. Fentanyl, drug and human trafficking, violent crime, stress on local emergency response services caused substantial damage to my district, to our state, to my constituents, to people that live and work in Texas. And in response, our state launched Operation Lone Star to secure the border when the Biden administration abdicated their responsibility to do that. We built miles of border wall. We had other barriers. We deployed state troopers, National Guard to deter the invasion that we suffered during this time period, which cost our state over $11 billion. And so as part of this Working Families Tax Act, we allocated $13.5 billion to reimburse those states. Last month, along with our senators, I led the Republican Texas delegation in sending a letter to you and Attorney General Bondi highlighting this and requesting that the state of Texas be fully reimbursed. And I wanted to get a status on that reimbursement today.
Yes, thank you. And we still to this day remain incredibly grateful to the state of Texas for their leadership during that time. That was challenging times, devastating times for what we saw happening down there. And Texas stepped up in a way that was absolutely incredible. So yes, those dollars are being formulated and allocated. If you remember, many states deployed their National Guard down there. I was governor of South Dakota at that time, and my National Guard was deployed down there as well. So reconciling the costs for every single state and looking at that allocation, we're making sure we're doing due diligence to make sure that it's appropriated correctly.
And just to be clear, I want to make sure that that money does come in the form of the reimbursement to Texas.
That's what we're working with the White House on doing, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to what Director Kent talked about, these 18,000 people, can you give us an idea of who these people are, what type of threat they pose to us? We saw it wasn't some accident. This was an assassination and a murder. It was not an accident, despite my colleagues saying that it was an accident. It was a murder and an assassination of a National Guard hero. So what other types of threats are you tracking and preventing from happening?
Yeah, I would say, sir, that we face the terrorists that we've faced for years in ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, individuals that are here that are radicalized, but also we face the cartels as they've infiltrated our country under the last administration, their proliferation of human trafficking, drugs, and violence, going after Tren de Aragua as well, MS-13. Those individuals are still a very real, clear danger every day on the streets, and we encounter them, arrest them, and deport them and bring them to justice each and every day. Beyond that, sir, you even have gangs in cities that are localized that are terrorist organizations. The Latin Kings in Chicago are absolutely terrorists to their communities, and we work every day to make sure that we're protecting those communities. So I could not prioritize one over another because they're all killers. They're all killers, and they all are destroying families each and every day.
For both you and Director Kent, do terrorist organizations around the world, such as ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and others, still have an intent to attack America, to attack our homeland, to utilize
Absolutely.
every method?
Absolutely. Our intelligence and our information that we deal with every single day is addressing those threats on our streets here in the United States.
Director Kent, can you give us an idea of what those tactics, techniques, and procedures could be that we need to stay alert of?
Honestly, the attacks of October 7th, the decentralized and just barbaric nature of that is the new terrorist playbook. They're not looking necessarily for a spectacular attack like we had on 9/11, but targets of opportunity like we tragically saw with the terrorist attack in Washington, D.C., these smaller cells or even individual operatives taking action. That's what has us very concerned, combined with just the sheer volume.
My time has expired. Secretary, thank you for your commitment to reimburse Texas. I yield back.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for 5 minutes of questions.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice, 90s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows
And
our laws.
can you please
And
tell
those
Mr.
are
Park
laws
why you
important,
deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you
Thank
to
you.
remember that
Madam
our
Secretary, the
programs
man
need to have
behind you,
community as
please
well.
stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from, stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife Donna has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime
But you are
other
on stream.
than writing 2
I
bad
know it don't
checks
show it right
totaling
there.
$80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison
They on
and
these
facing
niggas'
deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr.
This
Brown
is-
for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get
You have
enforced. and
broad
which ones
discretion
don't.
as the secretary.
We need
You
to follow
can issue
the law
parole, you
and
can do all
enforce
kinds
the
of things,
laws.
but you're choosing not to. Will you commit
You
again
hear
to just
that?
reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
Now, Madam Secretary, you've already heard the story of Lance Corporal Alejandro Barranco.
Oh my God.
The United States Marine veteran who is behind you, who also has 2 brothers who are United States Marines. Will you thank Lance Corporal Barranco for his service? His father, Narcisco Barranco, is a landscaper in California who has lived peacefully in our country for 30 years and has no criminal record. Last spring, while he was mowing the lawn at an IHOP, ICE agents tackled him in the street and imprisoned him for weeks.
Oh my
A
God.
peaceful, hard-working man who raised 3 sons to be United States Marines. We need men of that character in this country. Again, as secretary, you have broad discretion. Will you consider Lance Corporal Barranco's father for parole in place to stay in our country owing to
my
the
God.
fact that he has contributed to our country by raising 3 United States Marines.
This is an opportunity to remind everybody that every person that's in this country illegally has an opportunity to voluntarily go home and come back the right way.
He raised
Follow our
3
laws,
United States
we will
Marines.
facilitate that.
He has been living here peacefully, doing his job for 30 years. You have discretion. You are choosing not to use it. Madam Secretary, you promised America
Are
that
you
you would
using
go
my
after the
charger?
worst of the worst. But these people are not the worst
I
of
need
the
one of
worst.
my
A Purple Heart
brakes
recipient, a military spouse, the father of 3 Marines. And it's not just veterans and military families. You are locking up and deporting children with cancer, mothers with babies in the NICU, United States citizens. There are many problems
Is it
with your
what?
leadership, but the biggest problem is this. You don't seem to know
The
how
funny
to tell
thing
the
is
difference
Trump is
between
doing
the
like
good
a
guys
meeting right
and the
now
bad
as well.
guys. Go after the bad guys. Go after the terrorists. Do not go after veterans, Marines, children,
Gentlemen's
United
time's
States citizens.
expired. I now recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. Green, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you.
Jesus.
The previously Democrat-controlled administration allowed over 13 million border crossers from over 170 countries and territories to break our laws, invade our country, rape our women and children, and murder our own people. They set all-time records for the highest number of illegal aliens ever encountered in a single day at 14,500, in a single month at 370,000, and in a single year at 3 million, not including the known gotaways. Thanks to Secretary Noem and the hard work of Tom Homan and all the brave men and women at DHS, our new Republican-controlled admin has produced the safest and most secure border our country has ever seen. Thank you very much for that. For the 7th consecutive month, U.S. Border Patrol released 0 illegal aliens into the United States. Daily average apprehensions at the southern border are 95% lower than the daily average under the last administration. 10 months under Trump has seen less apprehensions than 1 month under Biden. Since January 21 through the end of November, there have been 117,105 total enforcement encounters along the southwest border, which is nearly 40% less than the monthly average during the Biden administration. Meanwhile, there has been an 8,000 increase in death threats against ICE law enforcement. Secretary Noem, back in July, the department put out a press release titled Worst of the Worst. Criminal proceedings begin in a case of transgender illegal alien accused of rape, child rape, not just rape, child rape of a 14-year-old boy
Oh, they showing a
in a
picture.
sanctuary New York City
Oh
bathroom.
shit.
I wanted to highlight this case because it encapsulates so many different violent policies of Democrats. This is an increase in trans violence with their embrace of gender ideology.
Oh, so I'm
An
guessing
egregious
she's a.
catch and release policy implemented under the last 4 years, and sanctuary cities that harbor criminal, illegal
The fucked up
alien
part about this,
monsters
all
that
they're
have
doing
raped
is
and
blaming
murdered many
Biden.
Americans. Can you discuss
Oh,
further
this
what
happened
you're
under the
facing
Biden
in these sanctuary
administration. This
cities
happened.
and the
I'm
illegal
like,
alien monsters that
what
have
the
been
fuck?
released into American communities?
That's
under
all
the
y'all
Biden
fucking.
administration?
Yeah, unfortunately, Congresswoman, we arrest
They be like, oh,
individuals
this shit was under
like that every day
Biden.
because they're so
What?
prevalent on our
That's
streets
all you
because
got
of
to
what happened with
say?
the Biden administration. Every day we're able to go out and
That shit
encounter
crazy.
and bring to justice
I ain't gonna
individuals
cap.
who are raping our children, murdering our mothers, our grandmothers, our families are devastated by them. And I'm shocked at the Democrats' constant defense of these individual criminals over the American citizen that is out there just trying to live their lives, put food on the table, and live the American dream. And what we do at the Department of Homeland Security by making sure that we're out enforcing the law every day is making sure that those families get a chance to do that. So I'm so grateful for them. The 8,000% increase in death threats is real. These ICE agents and CBP officers that are out on our streets doing God's work live in these communities. They live there. These are their families and their neighbors that they're protecting, and they get up every day and do that job because they believe in their mission. They take an oath, and they are honorable men and women who are serving with greatness during a challenging time when activists and radicals attack them and put their lives in danger. I think it's shameful to see the defense of individuals who break our laws. We are a nation of laws. If we are not a nation of laws, we're no nation at all. And that is what we are doing every day, is following those. If you guys don't like the law, go change it. That's your job. You don't complain. I was raised by a dad who said we don't complain about things. We fix them. Well, go fix them. If you don't like the law, quit belly aching, quit hitting and attacking our ICE officers, quit going out and protesting and screaming vile things at them, quit calling them names. We wouldn't let our children do that. Go do something that actually matters by having an honest debate and changing the law. That's your jobs. You all should be fired, in my viewpoint.
I agree. Thank you so much for that, Secretary Noem. Back in 2021, I was one of only 16 members who voted against the Allies Act of 2021, which increased the number of special immigrant visas for Afghan nationals and loosened vetting requirements for eligibility. This brought in over 76,000 Afghans. Director Kent, what actions are being taken to identify and remove any of the 100,000 Afghan nationals admitted under the Biden admin who may have ties to terrorism, like the one who shot 2 National Guard members, tragically killing Sarah Beckstrom here in Washington, D.C.?
Gentlelady, I'm sorry, Gentlelady's time is expired, but
Can he just answer?
no, we're keeping everything quick to the 5 minutes. I'm sorry, but gentleman from New York is now recognized, Mr. Goldman, for 5 minutes.
Secretary Noem, let's talk about the law.
They wildin' on these
Do you
niggas.
agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right, so immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
it's a lawful platform.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not
See,
asking about
they
Joe
keep
Biden. I'm
going to
asking you
Joe
specifically,
Biden.
If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application,
They
you are
keep talking about
violating the law.
Biden this, Biden that.
Greatly violated when they allow.
They keep.
I'm asking you.
People to come
I'm
in
asking you.
granted asylum
Why
applications.
why can't you answer the question? It's a
Because
simple
Joe-
question.
Your president.
If your department
This makes the government look really bad.
with an ongoing asylum
Like this makes it look really
you
bad.
are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was
Okay.
broken under the
Mr.
last.
Chairman, I'll reclaim my time. She's not answering the question.
They love
And,
this.
but the
They love
obvious
it,
answer
and they
is
think
that, yes, if
the
you
Trump
follow a lawful
administration is
pathway,
doing great at
asylum is a
proving their
lawful
point.
pathway.
Oh.
If you have an open
Yeah,
asylum
I don't
case,
know.
you
I don't know
are
what they're
here
proving.
lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country is
'Cause
that
I'm like-
you are not following the law. Go
Ooh.
tell us to change the law.
Ooh.
If you don't like the asylum system,
Ooh.
you change the
Ooh.
asylum law. Bring it to us. We'll work
Ooh,
with
he
you. I
talking
think it needs to be
spicy on them
changed.
niggas.
But you can't just decide that you're not going to follow the law, and asylum is a law, and deport people who have ongoing applications. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happening. It's happening across the street from my office right in New York City. Numerous, thousands of people who have come to court appearances, have left them with open asylum applications, have been arrested. And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not.
Oh, they playing like this? Oh.
It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
Oh shit.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable
That
and
shit.
beneath the men and women
It
of
looked like he
ICE.
was about to
Our ICE law
fucking
enforcement are held to the highest professional standards. And
whatchamacallit.
this officer is being relieved
No,
of
no, no,
current
no,
duties
no.
as
Like
we
mace her
conduct a
ass
full
up. But it looked
investigation.
like a little ass kid.
3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is.
Well, I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me yet?
I'm actually surprised that you haven't gotten it.
Yo.
I'm gonna ask my staff about that.
Well, you
because
shouldn't
I
be
have
surprised
responded
because generally
to
speaking,
hundreds
you do
and
not
hundreds of
respond.
These
thousands
niggas
of
is
letters.
The
wildin'.
problem that we are seeing all over
Been
the
responding to
country
letters for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are
And
identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police
I'm not
Act
asking a
to
question,
stop
man.
this. We now have 113 co-sponsors.
He's not.
So that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 by 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual officers are identified.
Time has expired.
Bruh, they be like, time is expired, nigga. Fuck that. We need to hear this shit. It's like
Thank you, Chairman.
that.
Thank you, Secretary Noem. Thank you, Director Kent and Director Glasson, for your patriotism, your service to our country. Thank you to the families for allowing everyone to serve. We're grateful for that. Democrats like to show clip after clip. I represent a district that's half of the southern border. Our lives were turned upside down under Joe Biden, and now we have our lives back due to President Trump and due to the policies that y'all are executing. So thank you.
Everything is
but I'm going to try to
Biden. Biden did this. Biden did that.
Get an update on the role Coast Guard
You don't
played
hear shit
in the,
else.
Venezuela oil tanker seizure. But first, I'd like to once again, thank you for being here. And so I'd like to first thank you, CISA. Thank you for keeping our nation's critical infrastructure safe. You are our nation's cyber first responders. Thank you to the Coast Guard. During our Texas floods, you showed up. Coast Guard showed up. You saved lives. Thank you to the Coast Guard for all the work that they've done in Jihad of South. They've been the tip of the spear in the Southcom AOR for a long time. Their work often goes unnoticed. Thank you, HSI, for leading these anti-gang task force. They work. They're going out there. You're apprehending murderers. You're apprehending sexual offenders. You're doing it in a local, state, federal way. They're working. Thank you for that. Thank you, ICE. Thank you for keeping us safe by deporting all these people. I really appreciate the innovative idea of DHS owning its own airplanes. It's ridiculous that we had to essentially contract out in order to have these repatriation flights. That is a game changer. Thank you for that. Thank you, ERO, for adding bed space. This is exactly how we continue to deport the millions of convicted criminal aliens that are in this country. Thank you, NCTC, for keeping us safe. You're exactly right. We thank you for vetting, for going out and finally doing the role of vetting these people. You and I served overseas. Many of us did. And we know oftentimes it's more dangerous at the chow hall than outside the wire, right? So thank you for that vetting. Thank you, Border Patrol, for ending catch and release. Thank you, TSA, for keeping us safe during all our travel, and then also looking into any future vulnerabilities. Thank you, Secret Service. Thank you for not only keeping our leaders safe, but a lot of people don't realize Secret Service is key to school safety. I think that's just so important that brings us all together. I wanted to say I want to use the
Secret Service is for school?
Because we don't do that enough here. It's always finger pointing. It's always somebody else's fault. Please go back to your agencies and thank the men and women that are serving every day and helping to keep this country safe. With that, I'd like to give you a little time to talk about the Venezuelan situation and what the Coast Guard is doing.
The operation that was conducted yesterday morning was a Coast Guard-led operation. It was in partnership with the Department of War and the Department of Justice, the FBI as well, and it was a successful operation directed by the president to ensure that we're pushing back on a regime that is systematically covering and flooding our country with deadly drugs and killing our next generation of Americans. Just the drugs that the Coast Guard has been able to interdict on the waters Since that President Trump has been in office, there's been enough lethal doses of cocaine to kill 177 million Americans. That's 2/3 of our country that has been saved by blowing up, by going after and bringing to justice these individuals that are out at sea and those individuals that are funding it with a shadow fleet of sanctioned oil that should never be sold to benefit their profits and their pockets to kill Americans.
Thank you for that update. For many of us that served in uniform, oftentimes it was overseas. It was in the Middle East, or it was in Asia, or it was in Europe. And I think those AORs are very important. But for too long, president after president after president, our backyard has been left wide open, and we're completely shocked why all these terrorists are in our country and all these people are unvetted. All this chaos is happening when in our own backyard was unsafe. So thank you again for one. I know you traveled, you met with heads of state, El Salvador, Mexico, a couple that come to mind. But I just want to thank you and for making our backyard a priority, and ultimately to keep Americans safe. Texans are more safe today than we were a year ago. And a lot of that is due to President Trump and due to the leadership that I'm seeing right here of executing those policies. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I wonder, does anybody...
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman.
American citizens have been arrested or detained. We focus on those that are here illegally.
Secretary Noem, you lie and you lied to the American people. I will be including into the record an article by ProPublica from October 16, 2025, entitled, "We found that more than 170 U.S. citizens have been held by immigration agents. They've been kicked." There's nothing smiling about U.S. citizens. I'm sorry, that's very inappropriate. Let me continue. They've been kicked, dragged, and detained for days.
Oh, she was smiling?
The next one.
I don't know.
The Trump administration has specifically targeted the worst of the worst. The individuals that we are going after are those that are violent criminals, those that are breaking our laws.
Do you, Secretary Noem, again, you lied to the American people. I will be including into the record an article by the NBC News from December 7, 2025, entitled, "ICE has arrested nearly 75,000 people with no criminal records," data shows. A co-equal branch of government, and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor decisions made by the highest court of the land. Yes or no, Secretary?
We are abiding by all three judges' orders.
Like, yes or no, nigga?
That when the administration was ordered back in March to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador, you personally made the final call to continue the flights anyway. Is that correct?
And the decisions that are made on deportations, where flights go and when they go.
Oh, they got videos of...
Department of Homeland Security, and we'll continue to do the right thing, continue to work and protect Americans, no matter what radical judge comes out and tries to stop us. We'll do.
You lied on the record, and you lied to members of this committee.
Oh my God.
You violated court
They
orders
on
by not turning around
ass.
deportation flights bound for El Salvador, where we know that hundreds of people under your leadership have reported that they were raped, they were beaten, and they nearly died.
Oh,
And your
shit.
agents used chemical weapons in Chicago despite court orders from District Court Judge Ellis forbidding their use.
Oh.
Secretary Noem, you, Gregory Gavino, and your ICBP and DHS deputized agents have waged an unaccountable, unlawful, unconstitutional war against communities across the nation. Our residents have been surveilled, they've been threatened, they've been tear gassed, they've been hit with pepper balls, they've been shot, they've been subjected to warrantless arrest and precision immobilization maneuvers, they've been kidnapped and disappeared under your leadership. So we have a lot to talk about, but you and your department continue to reject congressional oversight. And you know how I know this? I know this because I requested a meeting with ICE Field Office Director Russell Hott. I requested a meeting with Field Office Director Samuel Olson. And when you came to Chicago on October 3rd, I publicly and formally requested a meeting with you. So I'm gonna be including a letter I sent on October 3rd requesting a meeting with Secretary Noem. So Secretary Noem, I wanna ask you again, will you commit to meet with me, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a lot to talk about, and actually my scheduler has a couple dates that I'll get to you after this meeting. I appreciate that. So look, I want to be very clear. You have misused resources appropriated by Congress. You've engaged in unethical behavior. You have repeatedly made false and misleading statements to Congress and to the press, and you've undermined the separation of powers and disregarded the role of Congress and the courts. Bottom line, you lie with impunity. You reject checks and balances, and you ignore Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached. I've already called for your resignation. You may remember I hand-delivered my request to you back in May, and I urge you to reconsider resignation because I've taken the first step towards your impeachment, and I've called on the Judiciary Committee to open an investigation into your lawlessness.
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Chairman, I know that at the end we'll be entering a number of articles into consent, but since I have a few moments, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter calling the Judiciary Committee to investigate Secretary Noem's impeachable offenses.
Oh my God.
Whatever you choose, the American people will have justice, Secretary, and you will be held accountable. I'm
Whatever
going
you
to make sure
choose.
of that every single day. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Damn.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from
That
Texas,
shit
Mr.
was
Trell, for
crazy.
5 minutes of questions.
I ain't gonna
Thank you,
lie.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary. It's good to see you, and thank you again for coming to Texas after the Kerrville floods. Your team was amazing. Their interaction with the leadership in our state, up and down the chain of command, was outstanding. Not something I read about.
Bless you.
Well, I'm just
You're welcome.
speaking from the truth. So let's talk about worldwide threats, if you don't mind. This may go back and forth to Mr. Glasheen and Mr. Kent. My questions, first and foremost, is the nefarious actors globally, they're kind of everywhere. And as we try to protect the motherland,
The motherland.
in the
What the fuck you talking about?
cyberspace,
The
air, sea, and
motherland.
land, something that's come to my attention in the committee we
The
had,
motherland I
hearing
know
we
is
had earlier,
Africa.
Undersea cable. And I don't know if you're a subject matter expert on this. I really wasn't until this hearing. But a large amount of our information flows under the water. Something that most people aren't aware of, but I can assure you that the bad actors globally probably are. Now, it's multi-jurisdictional from what I understand. It's the Department of Justice, it's Department of War, and then the Department of Homeland Security. And they kind of juggle these, kind of juggle the effort. Can you give me some insight on the protection mechanism that Homeland Security has?
The
for undersea
protection? What the
cabling?
fuck is that?
And I consider this a very viable threat specifically for information flow, considering everything that goes back and forth across the water. Can you give me a kind of a high-level briefing considering the atmosphere of what we're looking at?
Yes, I can, and I'll try to leave some time for the other individuals too, but the Department of Homeland Security has 23 different components. Several of them have some responsibility for surveillance and monitoring of those cables and the information that flows through them. So CISA is our cybersecurity agency, which looks for bad actors, hunts down those bad actors, and then hardens our systems.
Bad actors?
where
What
we
the
see
fuck
a
you mean,
weakness or a
bad
vulnerability,
actors?
They help us do that with the interactions we have with private companies, their communications, or other countries. But then we also have our Coast Guard out on the waters each and every day, which help us with surveillance activities to see if there's nefarious actors that would be out there jeopardizing those systems. We have INA, which is our intelligence and analysis.
Nefarious.
They are the ones that are helping us with our covert operations. They're the ones who are coordinating with our intelligence agencies on what we see as hacking attempts or enemies that would try to endanger those cables or cut them, damage them so that they couldn't be utilized to keep our critical infrastructure going. FEMA is the agency that's responsible for, on our worst day, if we needed something or someone to run the government, if there was an attack in this country, FEMA is the agency that would do that and maintains the resources to making sure that we have an operating government in an emergency disaster situation.
I know there's redundancy on the cabling system, and there's from what I understand, there's over 1 million miles of cable underwater. I want to make sure
Let's see what we
that
can do
we have
this.
enough protection in place so the ripple effect is not catastrophic to the country. Mr. Kent, you got something to add? I was going to shift over to Mr. Glasheen.
Oh, I missed.
In terms of undersea cabling, no,
Oh, I didn't.
Okay. Mr. Glasheen.
Holy
as
fuck.
far as trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, this always hurts me to say this, but Houston, Texas is in my district, and it is the worst city in the country for sex trafficking.
Damn.
In the country. I just cannot believe that.
I just cannot believe that.
What is the FBI doing amongst other agencies? You just happen to sit here in front of me. And Madam Secretary, you can probably jump in on this too. Enough's enough. I understand the complexities of the World Wide Web and how these bastards are doing this, and we can't seem to grab a hold of them. What's the answer?
Our HSI investigators specialize in child trafficking and human trafficking. They get up every single day and hunt down those individuals that victimize our children and partner with nonprofits and other agencies with the FBI to do that. Yes, it's shocking to me that Houston is one of the hotbeds as well.
We need to take a better look at this because we're losing. I mean, we're losing so bad. I don't even know how to define it. And this has been happening. I said this exact same thing to Mr. Mayorkas, and if I was here before that, I'd say the same thing again. It's just, we have not figured it out. Mr. Glasheen, you got anything for that?
Yeah, I would tell you, it's been a priority with this director. And, you know, so far this year, compared to last year, we have 300 plus human traffickers arrested, up 15%.
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Chairman, I yield that.
I appreciate that, and
I'll catch you after.
if one of the following witnesses wants to give him some time to answer that very important question, they could do that. Gentleman yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Noem, with about a year as DHS Secretary under your belt, there's no shortage of criticisms for me to choose from today. You've deported American citizens, bringing a level of inhumanity to this nation's immigration laws that I haven't seen in my lifetime. You've terrorized communities, including my own in Buffalo, New York, vowing to go after the worst of the worst, but instead detaining women, children, and hardworking individuals in pursuit of the American dream. You've botched a response to one of the most devastating floods we've seen, an extreme weather event along the Guadalupe River that took more than 130 innocent lives, including more than 35 children. Central Texas waited days for your agency to respond because of the reckless policies you've implemented. Your FEMA lead was missing in action, completely unreachable, as were FEMA's call lines, with 84% of calls unanswered on July 7th, 3 days after the floods. FEMA personnel, despite your slashing of their ranks, who were ready and willing to help, waited days to spring into action because of your policies.
Damn.
Disasters do not wait for bureaucracy. Your abysmal performance goes beyond your woeful disaster response. You've also taken a sledgehammer to FEMA's recovery, preparedness, and mitigation missions. You canceled more than $4 billion in building resilient infrastructure in communities funds, a program that helps communities reduce their risk of natural disasters. You withheld millions in FEMA funds for emergency alerting infrastructure found to be in violation of the Impound Control Act. You, perhaps most critical to my state of New York, canceled more than 90% of New York State's Homeland Security Program funding, including $134 million in urban area security initiative funds for New York City's greater metropolitan areas. You have mismanaged these grants to the point where cities and states, including New York, are suing you to recover counterterrorism funding that's lawfully theirs and that Congress intended for them to receive. It's a tragedy that we're here today discussing these cuts to counterterrorism and security grant funds for a city that was the main site of the September 11th attacks, the entire reason your department was established in the first place. As the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Emergency Management, it's my responsibility to show the American public how you've systemically upended FEMA and emergency preparedness as we know it. So I have a couple of questions.
Oh my God.
Simple yes or no answer suffice. Would you agree with the national security officials' assessment that the United States has been operating in a heightened threat environment for several years now.
Yes.
Yes or no? Would you say New York City is susceptible to these kinds of security threats?
Yes, and that's why they should spend
So with New York City being
$440
the
million
number
they
one
had in
terrorist
reserves,
target in the
the
nation,
federal government gave them
with
to
New
use
York
to
City
secure
being
their
the number,
city,
why I reclaim my
they did
time,
not
with New York
spend-
City being the
did
number
not
one
spend the hundreds
security
of
threat in
millions
this
of dollars
nation,
they had
it's
to secure
unconscionable
their city.
that you
And
would
to
cut
release criminals on the street each and every day.
$134 million in urban area security initiative funding for the city of New York. What compels you to knowingly make our cities less safe with these funding cuts?
What compels you, your mayor, and your governor to release thousands of criminals on the streets rather than to turn them over to ICE? You'd rather release
Secretary
a
Noem,
murderer out on
Secretary
your
Noem, you
street, a
cut
rapist on your street,
$134 million
and honor our detainers.
in
You should
funds
honor our
to
detainers.
support the
against violent
security
criminals
of
and get
New
them
York
out of New York
City
City.
and the state of New York, the number one threat in this nation. In your own words, your cuts are blatantly political, callous, and outright dangerous. It's clear you have no interest in countering real threats in the homeland. While high-risk cities and disaster zones wait for help, you've devoted the past 11 months to violent raids, anti-police policies, and non-stop photo ops. You brought shame to a department that was created after 9/11 in a time of unity to protect our people. Your failure to lead is a direct threat to the homeland security in our nation, and you should resign immediately. I yield back.
Yo.
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from
They
Alabama.
said you should
Mr.
resign.
Strong for
All of them
5
saying
minutes
you need to
questions.
resign.
Thank you, Mr.
God
Chairman,
damn.
Ranking member and members of this committee. I thank you too to our witnesses for being here today, for your work to protect the homeland in an increasingly complex threat environment. My question today focuses specifically on the evolving drone threat. Mr. Glasheen, the FBI's National Counter UAS Training Center at Redstone Arsenal, is now the central hub for preparing federal, state, and local partners for drone threats at major events. What makes Redstone Arsenal such an effective location for this mission, and how does that setting support the scale of training required for World Cup, America 250, and the 2028 Olympics?
Thank you for your question, Congressman. What makes Redstone a great partner for us is, one, the support that we have from Congress. Number two, the space we have there. The FBI has been in Huntsville for a long time. Huntsville also houses our Special Agent Bomb Technician Program, where we train bomb technicians, EOD professionals across the United States, and we model in the counter UAS school off of that. So that proof of concept has been in place, and we're mirroring that process to train the counter UAS operators.
Thank you. I was there for the inaugural graduation. I'm telling you, it was most impressive. I can assure you there's no other location in the country that offers the same mix of controlled airspace, testing ranges, partnered agencies, and mission infrastructure that the FBI has at Redstone Arsenal. Counter UAS has the ability in Huntsville to jam, block, drop, intercept, and do forensics. As demand for this specialized training grows, what investment should Congress prioritize to ensure long-term stability for this mission at Redstone?
I'd say yesterday, or the legislation in front of, I think, the Senate right now for the NDA, for the authorities, that'd be the first step to give us the ability to lawfully use the counter U.S. authorities. I think additionally, it is just like the computer technology, it evolves, with the months. And so the counter U.S. technology is going to change, so have the appropriate funding and support to stay up with that technology so we can mitigate the threats that our nation faces.
Thank you. Those graduates were from all over the country, and it was most impressive. Secretary Noem, this committee has failed to thank you for your faithful service to America. The southern border is closed. Human smugglers, drug traffickers, and illegal aliens that invaded this country from more than 160 different countries are being returned to the country of their origin. Fentanyl poisonings are down more than 35%. Secretary Noem, thank you for your efforts to keep these drugs out of our country in an effort to save a generation of Americans. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's an American issue. And I thank you. Secretary Noem, many of the most advanced counter unmanned aerial systems technologies
it's not.
are being tested and evaluated in North
Sissy
Alabama.
woke up.
How is DHS
Rodeo
ensuring
was still
that those
asleep.
capabilities transition quickly into field use, particularly ahead of
these major events, and what more can Congress do to accelerate the pipeline?
You know, we appreciate the authorities that are necessary for us to operate, and standing up a drone program and counter drone program is one of the top 3 priorities of the department this next year to meet the threats that we face every day. Every day, our Secret Service, our Coast Guard, our Border Patrol are seeing drones used against them. Criminals using them to surveil them, to find out law enforcement operations, and to leak them, and to put their lives in danger. So making sure that we have the ability to operate and to see far into the future and over our operations is important, but we also need the opportunity to take them down when necessary. We've seen the cartels using weaponized drones against each other. We know it's only a matter of time before we see that here on the homeland. My job is to make sure that we're prepared and that we're equipped and to advocate to you for the authorities that we need to make that happen.
Thank you. With the new counter-UAS authorities expected to be enacted as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, the next challenge is execution. What concrete steps is DHS planning to take in the coming months to ensure that these new authorities are fully operational before the FIFA World Cup, the Olympics, and America 250? And I even want to take it even further. You start looking at college football, we've got to take it even further rather than they're all large gathering events. I actually had the Secretary of Security of the Southeastern Conference before Mr. Kennedy and my committee, and it was unbelievable. On any given weekend, 8 to 10 football stadiums with greater than 90,000 people there. We must defend the home front. And I'm sorry that my time has expired, but I thank you for being before this committee today.
Appreciate the gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentlelady from New Jersey, Ms. MacGyver, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this hearing today. The greatest threat to the homeland right now is a Department of Homeland Security that the American people no longer trust. A department actively undermined by its own secretary. This is on you, Secretary Noem. Today's hearing is supposed to be about worldwide threats, but Madam Secretary, under your watch, the threat is coming from inside the building. Because when DHS, the department charged with keeping Americans safe, is caught breaking the law, lying to the American public, systematically dismantling oversight, fueling bigotry, and targeting vulnerable communities, trust is broken. Let's start with the basics. How can we trust your department with you at the helm? The American people deserve an answer, even if you spent the past year dodging accountability like it's your full-time job. We need to talk about oversight. Oversight is not optional. It is not a courtesy because you feel like it. It is not something you entertain only when it's politically convenient to you. Yet, time and time again, Secretary Noem, you have treated congressional oversight as an inconvenience at best, and at worst, something to be invaded, ignored, or denied altogether. Republicans on this committee may be willing to hand over their constitutional duty in order to kiss this administration's butt cheeks, but I am not.
Wow.
I will never. My district is not, and the American people sure aren't. While Republicans turned this hearing into a praise fest for your failed tenure, communities across America, including mine in New Jersey, are made less safe because DHS under your leadership has become unproductive and malicious. All of the thank you that we keep hearing from across the aisle, there's no thank you from me. And we see the truth that you're trying to hide. The truth is you are deeply unqualified for the post you hold. This is on full display in the way you treat the people in this body, myself included, who have been elected to serve our communities and keep them safe. Representative Brahava, Senator Padilla, myself and others whose character, integrity, and bodies were attacked by your department without evidence and without apology. Far beyond being disrespectful, you have shown a complete disregard for the oversight authority granted to us by law. You have repeatedly shown that you will target whoever you want, whenever you want, without accountability. Members of Congress, members of our communities, and even American citizens, as many of my colleagues have continued to point out today. Secretary Noem, that's not leadership. That's not democracy. And that is not how this works. Again, this is not just about you. don't want you to think this is just the
Is
pick on
Kalani
you
the
day.
motherfucker she had
This is
problems
about the
with?
Trump administration
that she
that
was
has
training
turned
shit with.
DHS
Yeah.
into a political weapon.
Ariana's
So
the
I'll
one
ask
that
you
don't
this.
like, right?
Is Trump embarrassed by your
Fuck
tenure?
Ariana, that's the
Or
one that
is this
pushed her.
exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No, it's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk.
Yo, they're wilding these niggas up.
I reclaim my time.
Transparent.
Chair, I
don't know.
reclaim my
Dad, you have a
time.
bunch of stuff under your bed.
Mm.
Secretary Noem, DHS
Yeah,
is
they're supposed to
breaking
be
the
under the
law,
bed.
hiding information from Congress and shutting out oversight. So let me ask you, how can the American people trust your department with you at the helm with this kind of behavior?
American people absolutely trust this department to keep them
We do
safe.
got leftovers
And we
from
are
last
showing
night,
that
right?
every day by the support we get across the country, the amount
We
of
only
money
got
that we're
like 3
recruiting
pieces
to
of
all the
chicken.
different
Secretary
agencies.
Noem, do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of
I'm okay. You could
Congress
probably
is an
just
abuse
cut
of
that,
power?
shit up and
You
give
would have
them,
heard me
or
if you stopped talking and
ask who
listened to my
wants to,
question.
and then
Do
give
you
them.
agree that
Okay, well there you
using
go.
DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work.
Get
We
off
are
the
allowing
floor.
Of course, we're not going to get any
More than the
answers. With
entire
that,
Joe
Mr.
Biden
Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. McKean, for 5 minutes of questions.
It's no wonder that chaos has become the commonplace when rudeness is so on display. You know, look, it's both sides. We've created a lack of civility in this country, but we're perpetuating in this society what your administration is trying to correct. And that is returning back to the rule of law. What separates us from falling into chaos as a nation, where poverty envelops us,
Will you get
is when we
me
return to
one of the spray
order
bottles on the
and
island?
a display of respect
You
towards
mean
law
the
enforcement.
island?
A display of respect to
Yeah.
officials.
I thought you mean
The little white
This
spray bottle with the
custom,
red
you've been a
label.
member of Congress, of where we talk over people
said,
and
"Okay."
we don't give secretaries a chance to respond. The height of self-importance
I know.
that too many people try to employ in this building, not remembering
Why
we're
can't
all
you
here
see
as
your
public
strand?
servants to serve
See
the
your what?
people.
I don't
We
know.
lift our hearts up far beyond
How
our
long
fellow
has it been
countrymen.
there?
I'll tell you
Today.
this, thank you. It's those whose
Just
families
literally
are
for this.
victim of assaults and rapes and
Just for
murders
this last
under
game,
the
that's when that
Biden
shit started happening.
Period.
So
the
I don't
last
know.
4 years. They say thank you.
But I
those who
looked
see
on
the
Twitch and I
madness of
seen that
lawlessness, the lack of
the-
respect to law enforcement,
No, the stream is
heightened
up.
Element of law enforcement setting
I
on
just
their
can't see
vehicles
nothing.
and being targeted. Say thank you. Those families of law enforcement whose addresses are being put out in public so they can intimidate not only the law enforcement officials but their families
Yeah,
to try to put
there
them
was
into a
a
place
leak
of fear.
of,
Say thank you for common sense
ICE
returning back into this country.
officials.
If we do not have a respect of
names and
authority,
addresses
respect of
and
law
stuff.
enforcement, thank you
I'm
for
confused.
allowing
Rightfully
arrests
so.
to happen when
Oh,
someone
this one,
spits at
baby.
law enforcement. Thank you.
You go in the closet right here and up on the counter.
FEMA,
the
you were assaulted a
tall
minute ago
white
verbally
things.
over what you're doing with FEMA.
It has a
I'll
pink
tell you, as
label.
somebody that
It's
comes
the
from a
cotton
state
rounds
that has
with the
more
little
tornadoes
white tabs
Oklahoma
for
than
me to
probably any
slug
other
this one
state.
and let-
Thank you
let
for
go.
looking at how we can save money through efficiencies. Our
And,
state
no,
would
in this
love the
closet over
opportunity of what this administration is
On the other
talking
side of
about,
the
of returning power and decision-making back to
Mommy's
states. As I've
closet,
said to you
yes.
before, of a person who sat on a bulldozer watching the madness of trying to comply with EPA regs that have built their way into FEMA and people's homes destroyed, and as a state lawmaker pushing timber around on a dozer trying to comply and get taking the time off from time of exercise as a lawmaker trying to help people, and I saw the craziness of federal regulations. Thank you for looking and not taking your foot off the gas of trying to put more money back into national security from the waste that has happened through endless regs. All right, now I'm going to get to a question,
Can I
Secretary.
say something about FEMA?
Absolutely, you can. Thank you.
The only grants that weren't funded, the individual ones that you were talking about, mitigation ahead, were ones that were weaponized to fund the Green New Deal and for climate change. And those were redirected to true mitigation efforts. FEMA today is deploying resources 2 times faster on average
Do you
than
need
in
the
history,
charger?
which means the dollars are going out
Yeah.
twice
Can I
as
get
fast
this
than they
shit
ever have
over with?
before. And the
I ain't got
president, as
no-
soon as these
I ain't got
disasters are
my-
happening, is
any
deploying those
vape,
resources to
unless you
Republican
wanna
and
give me
Democrat
my
states.
joint out
New
there.
Mexico, Texas, Alaska, they're all getting dollars immediately, and we're responding immediately to our people. I have to actually leave this hearing early because the FEMA Review Council is giving their report today on suggestions for changes to FEMA. And
Thank
I
you
have
for not
to,
taking your foot off the
I
gas
have
on
to
that.
co-chair it, but I will be leaving soon to have to go do that.
Oh,
But
why are
those
you leaving?
suggestions are
Say that,
Republicans
that,
and
that.
Democrats coming forward with how FEMA should go forward in the future based on the president's vision for making sure that states get the chance to manage it and that local emergency managers get the chance to go and help their communities in a much more efficient way.
Take those monies and let's move them to true national security through waste and inefficiencies. We've deployed money for snow movement. We have deployed money previously to move snow that melts. Okay, I want to just throw this open to you and
So it's gonna be me versus the Eagles.
We have to find a balance between making sure the First Amendment is
It's gonna
preserved
be me
at all
versus the
costs,
Eagles,
but also
goddamn.
protecting law enforcement. The social media heightened of a hearing that the chairman held last week. Great hearing.
Nope.
How do we preserve? What ideas
Listen,
can we
come here.
continue with to where the online
It is in that
enticement
closet.
threats causing
Up on the
people to want
counter.
to
At the back.
embolden themselves
It's
to then go act
got a
upon those
pink
threats that we
label.
see on social media.
Look for the
They
pink
say
on
the
top of
magic
the counter.
words. They know it's not going to get them because they don't do a direct threat, but it's an indirect threat. It's all trying to accomplish the same purpose. How do we preserve the First Amendment? This is a long
At the back against the wall.
not for show. How do we come up with a way
Yeah.
to preserve the First Amendment? and
Back of the
stop
closet.
insanity, these indirect threats that are going after your law enforcement officials?
I apologize, gentlemen's time has expired. I know the secretary has to leave, and I would now recognize a gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Johnson, 5 minutes of questions.
I'm just gonna take the position she was scared of my questions.
Talk your shit. Cause she is scared.
Stop the clock.
These niggas is scared of all your
There
questions.
you go, mama. Thank you.
We
I
could
was
reset the
like,
time,
"Thank
so it'd be
you."
helpful.
I know,
We'll reset the
baby.
clock.
I'm sorry. Mama was trying to explain real good.
Yeah, she was trying to explain real good.
Hey, Daddy.
It looks like the day.
Gentlelady.
Daddy, do you know what that, like, one of those things? Like the bottle of it? What mom's playing it? What mom's playing?
Who the fuck? Hold up.
They mad as hell.
Okay.
That sounds
Thank you.
Gentlelady's recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I just want to respond to a lot of what Secretary Noem has just testified to.
Yo, they going.
And gentlemen, I have some comments that I hope you'll take back to the Secretary and to the Department. If there's anything that is clear about what is going on in this country is that the rhetoric and fear that is happening is at an all-time escalated high. And we're all describing different aspects of it. Fear of law enforcement, fear of citizens, fear of people who are legally in this country. Because it's the rhetoric that is happening from the very top that is being decimated down level.
What?
And that is really, really dangerous.
What does he want?
And one of the things that the Secretary said was she is restoring the rule of law. That is absolutely not true. Because the rule
That's
of
a
law
yell.
is
We can't
founded
hear you.
on two
You ain't loud.
fundamental principles. That if you are going to be subject to a criminal arrest in this country, that there is
What you
probable
wanna say,
cause to
Daddy?
do so. You can't
What?
just snatch somebody walking into a coffee shop because of the color of their skin. There's no probable cause for
You're my
that.
favorite. You're the
And
coolest. You're the
also,
awesome.
that you will get due process.
Awesomest.
And that is not happening. And so what is you're seeing is an overwhelming frustration of the American people in this country that the lack of respect and regard for the rule of law by this administration, and in particular by this secretary, is at a level that we have never seen and violates all of the constitutional norms and all of the principles of legal fairness in this country.
They going.
And you're seeing that manifest itself in threats to law enforcement and bubbling over because people are frustrated. And they are channeling that frustration because the administration is not listening and is only doubling down on the rhetoric. You know, this notion that I think my colleagues highlighted that we're only going to pursue serious threats. It's just not true. I visited an ICE facility outside of Dallas, and over 70% of them were classified as the lowest threat level, as never having a criminal record at all. But yet they were there.
Damn, 70%?
Their skin.
Oh.
There was not a probable cause. They're not a threat to this country. They have no criminal history at all.
Ooh.
I fully support, as does everyone on this committee, Homeland Security focusing on threats to our national security. We want cybersecurity. We want terroristic threats from abroad to be stopped. Absolutely. None of us want a recreation of 9/11, but we also do not want, under any level, the trampling of our constitutional rights and the legal system of due process. I have a poster here to highlight 3 American citizens that were arrested by ICE who had done nothing wrong. They presented themselves as American citizens, but yet were still trampled, assault. One had broken ribs, a brain injury, an older gentleman by being knocked down to the ground after he said, "I'm an American citizen." But yet they did not stop.
I think I've seen that video.
It's a huge problem. When somebody says, "I'm an American citizen,"
I think I've seen that.
ICE, and ICE does not stop and continues to assault them and physically berate them and then hold them for days and days on end without a due process hearing, that is a problem.
Yeah, we don't know where the remote is.
And it is not stopping. We have brought these concerns.
Rodeo, y'all are the only people that had the remote. So y'all put it somewhere.
Multiple letters. We've all written letters that have
So
gone
it's your job to
unresponded
find it.
because this cannot happen in our country. And the reality of it is, in any law
one
enforcement
of the
situation, and
little
what we have happening out
cook
into
rice,
the public
that's little side
is
meal rice.
there are ICE agents and there are Border Patrol agents that are doing their great job. They're doing what they're supposed to
Not
do.
like, it's
But
like
they're also
side
bad
rice, it's
actors.
like chicken
There are
flavored
people
rice
who
and
are
shit.
exceeding their authority. The power's gone to their head. The intimidation is outrageous, and there's no effort to rein them in by the FBI. There's no effort to rein them in by the Homeland Security. There's no effort to overcorrect, just like one of my colleagues highlighted, the reinstatement of one that was inappropriate. And these efforts are breaking down the trust of the American people. I hope you take these concerns back because they need to be addressed if we're going to address the violence in this country. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Creighton.
Award
Thank you,
winner.
Mr. Chairman, for holding this committee hearing today. Thank you for the witnesses.
What did he win?
Director Kent, you talked about what keeps you up at night. I believe you said, we don't know who came into the country in the last 4 years. And we've cited several times in this hearing that about 15 to 20 million people came into this country under the last administration. And something that you said actually shocked me. You said that 18,000 known and suspected terrorists entered into the country during the Biden administration. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's deeply concerning, but I'm really not surprised. Many of us in this committee said that's exactly what was going to happen. I didn't know that those numbers would be as high as they are. One of the other things that really concerns me about what's going on in this country is we continue to let people into this country that do not want to assimilate to our culture and want to harm Americans. I want to go ahead and play a video.
Should be above the U.S. Constitution. Yes. Should Sharia law be over the U.S. Constitution?
Yes, U.S. Constitution, which is made by people, and the Sharia law is made by Allah. So that is all the way above. That has has to be definitely in the land, not for the America, for the whole
Where they
world.
saying like,
Above.
So that should
They're
be
talking
above
about
the U.S.
that
Constitution.
shit because of Mamdani.
what do you mean?
They wanna accuse
Sharia law.
Mamdani is
I'm a Muslim. I prefer
yeah, he's
Sharia law.
Muslim.
Sharia law.
And
Yes. You prefer Sharia law over American law? Of course.
he
They
really
always
is
can
a
come with the same accusations. This
But
speaker supports death penalty for
because he's
homosexuals.
starting to
This speaker supports
in
death
like
penalty
mayor
for
and
this crime,
immigrant,
this
which I'm
crime
really
that
sad
he
that
is
he's
homophobic.
that you have
These
to
are
be
actually has every
a
Muslim
native born or not born citizen to be president. Otherwise, he should run, but he can't.
Honestly, because in chapter 33, verse 1, he said, "O prophet, fear Allah, and do not obey disbelievers and the
He fucking
hypocrites."
collabed with Miss Rachel and shit.
Watch this clip here that
With Miss Rachel?
Yeah. We're singing kids and shit.
in the infidel, criminal, and arrogant United States.
He
It does not matter if they're
has
Arab American
been
or other descent.
recently been on strike with the nurses, I believe.
All of them, revenge,
support
revenge. Do not consult
whatever
anyone
the
by
fuck
killing
they were
infidel Americans.
doing. I don't know.
You should have a lot of
Anyways,
determination
and
that a
then,
list of your target should be effective.
he went on, what is the show? Is it Jimmy Fallon?
Director Kent, what do you think when you see a video like that?
I have no idea. It's one of the
I think we
interview guys.
didn't
He
have
went on
control
that
of
show
our borders, and we don't know who's coming to our country. However, we have
you know, everybody
had
stay inside 'cause a
around
lot of New Yorkers
2.7
watch that
million
shit.
individuals.
My
from
nigga
Muslim
won
countries
defensive.
and Muslim
He needs
regions
an X Factor now.
under the Biden
He's getting an X Factor. Ooh, cause he won Defensive Player of the Year, nigga.
Oh, and then after
Director
Mamdani, he
Kent,
told
are you aware
everybody
that when we
on as
invite
many
people
platforms
into
as
this
he could
country and
fucking
they
tell
become
people
citizens,
to
they
stay inside
swear an
because
oath to
of the
defend and support
severity
the
of the
Constitution
snow.
and the laws of the United
The
States of
snowstorm
America and
that's gonna go
against
on.
all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yes.
He
What do you think, what do you
After
believe the
he'd already
long-term
told
consequences
everybody
will
stay
be if the
inside.
United States
For the
continues
people that
admitting
didn't,
individuals
he
who
was
either
out
openly
helping
reject
shovel people's
assimilation
cars
into
out of the
American
fucking
civic
snow and
culture,
shit.
or who falsely
Well.
swear an oath to uphold the
That is a
Constitution
man of the
despite
people.
having no intention of honoring it?
Yeah, there ain't a lot of
country anymore as
people
we
that
know. I think we
really
can look to Europe and to the UK to see exactly
the
where this
people.
leads.
I agree 100%.
Like,
Director Ken, are you
It
aware of
sounds-
some of the differences?
I'm surprised I made it
between,
this far in
US
these
Constitution
playoffs.
and common law
Like I
interpretations
thought I
of
was
the
gonna
Sharia
get my
law?
ass whooped by the
Yeah,
Cowboys. Then I beat the shit out of his ass.
differences
He beat me, but he beat me the first time, but I really wasn't
Not a
trying. I was
doctorate on the
bullshitting.
subject, but between the First Amendment,
Mm.
which guarantees freedom of speech
my
and the
hair all
press,
straight 'cause I got
Some-
the
jam
right
in
to
my hair.
criticize religions,
I'm like,
religious
this nigga
texts,
right
and public
here?
figures without government punishment.
I love him so much.
Yeah, the freedom of speech, I think.
This
is huge.
nigga
You don't have
right
that under
here?
Sharia law, and you also don't have the assumption
Oh
of
my
innocence
God.
under Sharia law as we do.
Many
Drafted him in the first round. Somebody the AI drafted him in the first round.
Or the Prophet Muhammad
But
can be a serious
goddamn.
offense, sometimes
This
punishable by
motherfucker
death.
right here.
And there are many others
We
that I
should
don't
go
have time to
tomorrow
get to,
after
but I wanted to
physical
bring that
therapy.
up today so that
Okay.
Americans understand
You go grocery
the
shopping?
differences and
Not
why we
really.
need to be very careful about who we let into this country. I thank you guys for the work you do.
I
I thank
guess
you for
so,
those
too.
underneath you working so hard to keep the American citizens and people safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlemen, yield
Grocery
back, and a
shopping.
reminder, if you don't get to
I
questions
get all my groceries
that you want to
in
ask,
the
you
house.
can
We're
submit them for the
probably
record,
gonna need
so we can do that at the end. I
Oh.
now recognize the gentleman from Puerto Rico, Mr. Hernandez, for 5 minutes of questions. I have some matters of interest regarding immigration and FEMA, but before that, Mr. Kent, does the Bible say
I'm-
anything about freedom of speech?
He's the What if he?
Not a biblical scholar.
I don't think it does, and I'm concerned about singling out Muslims. and
This nigga
specific
gonna cost a lot of
religions,
money.
talk about how,
'Cause he
their
fucking-
religious dogma conflicts with our
I don't know
national
what
constitution.
award he won.
I lament
He
that
probably
this
won an
bill
award
passed
last
out to
year.
me early today,
But he got this tag
I
award
wanted
winner.
to
I'm
talk
like,
about
this
the
nigga gonna
atrocities
cost a
that,
lot of
their
fucking money.
the DHS's immigration enforcement and the
I
pain
think
it
we
is
also need
causing
to
in
go to
places like my home
Target
district
and
of Puerto
get-
Rico. Just a few weeks ago, we witnessed
Let's see
ICE
the
shove a
mom.
pregnant
Franchise
woman. I
QB.
cannot imagine, as an expecting
You said what?
father myself, the anxiety that
You said
family
what?
must have gone